Thanks, Tristan. All right. Well, we'll start right on time so we can get everybody home and out the door. You guys probably have had some crazy last couple of days with everything trying to get ready for school, and hopefully nobody's pulling their hair out yet. So I wanted to first of all say thank you. We have quite a few new people on board. We have let's see, we have Sheila. Where are you? You're an independent school, right? Where are you out of? I know you just stuffed your mouth full of things, so
I did.
we'll put you on the spot.
Real quick. Lunch was a long time ago, sporadically, because it's the first full week of school, and it's nuts around here. I'm an independent school district right outside of Billings.
Oh, perfect. Okay, good. Now I know. Love it. Right, and then we have Brian at Lima, right?
Pronounced Lima.
Sorry, I should know that, right?
Very good.
Yep, I've only been there a few times. So then we also have, let's see, Mallory, you're new as well. Thank you for being on board.
Yeah, hi, I am over here in Harrison.
Great. That I do know. Good afternoon, representatives. How are you, Mr. Anderson?
I'm good, thank you. And you?
Wonderful, thank you. For everybody's benefit, that's Representative Fred Anderson. And Mr. Anderson's out of Great Falls, and he's been on our data task force for quite a while. Very knowledgeable and very helpful. And as you can tell by the color of his hair, he's very wise. So I want to thank you for being here today. We were just introducing some of the new folks and then some of the old folks, but we'll get right to it today so we can get everybody out the door. So those are the new folks we have on board. We also have a couple that are just showing up. Nikki, thank you, out of Harrison. So we want to say thank you to all of you for being here. Myself, I am Chris Sinrud. I am the CIO, Chief Information Officer for OPI, and I deal with all the data and IT work here with the OPI. So we help support the program areas, the finance areas, the schools, and pretty much everything data and IT related in our area. So I also have on board Marla Swamby. She's one of our project managers. I have Andy Campbell, who is our IT manager. I have Tristan Leverage, who is also one of our project managers and does a lot of work on the website as well. And Cameron Princing, another project manager, and Zam Aldina, who is our data modernization project manager specifically. So these are all the folks. The reason they're on here is because a lot of the tasks and things like that that'll come out of here, we will have to put into play, and they will be the ones that help make sure that we get it all done. So I want to thank you for all of that. The superintendent is crazy busy all the time, but she wanted to extend a warm welcome to everybody here, and also to all of our new committee members, and express her appreciation for all things that this committee will do, task force, I should say. So thank you for that. And without further ado, I will introduce Zam Aldina. He's been the project manager for data modernization, so he's the one that actually he's been here longer than I have, and has helped with the Teach Montana application and a couple other of the modernization efforts that we have taken on. And just this summer, we signed a contract with PowerSchool for a big portion of the modernization project. What that is entailing are several products from that organization, along with assessment of all the other extraneous applications that we use on a daily basis. And so we have a presentation that Zam will run through with that. And hopefully at the end of that, it'll make things a lot clearer. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to interrupt and ask, and we'll get those answered. And without further ado, Zam, I'll share my screen and take it away.
Thank you, Chris. It's good to see everybody, some familiar faces as well as some names. As Chris said, I am the project manager for data modernization. However, this has been an entire team effort to get to this point, and as we move forward, it's continually going to be a team effort at OPI's on OPI side, as well as everyone else who's here. So I'll talk to you about where we are, what's happened, some of the requirements, as well as our next steps. So right now, in terms of data modernization, there's a couple of areas three areas right now which are very operative to the project itself. The first one really is streamlining data collections from schools. So basically automating a lot of the current work processes and our workflows and processes, understanding what those bottlenecks are, eliminating and providing mitigation strategies so that a lot of this information can go. Can you go back?
Sorry.
No worries. So we can actually automate a lot of what's currently happening right now. Number two, in terms of the goals, is innovation. So being innovative and really leveraging today's modern technology that's out and available with the applications that we currently have and the environment that we currently have. We have in OPI applications that are 20, 25 years old. So when it comes to doing a lot of the analytics, there's a lot of manual work that's continually happening right now that's taking away from really the core work that some of the resources should be focusing on. And so this is where we're looking to be a lot more innovative and bring to the front lines really the modernization, as the name suggests, for data and for schools. And then number three is application simplification. There's going to be several applications which are going to be decommissioned. And when I say decommissioned, it's the way that these applications are currently running right now and how they're storing the data, as well as identifying some of the risk, whether it be security risk, whether it be validation of the information. Currently there's this assessment that Chris talked about, which is looking at what's currently happening within these data sources. And so we want to simplify the process and more specifically the number of applications that are being used right now. And so those are the three main areas within the modernization. Obviously, there's a lot more, but those are the three that we're really focusing on right now. Next slide, please. So from an overview, Chris talked about the vendors that was selected. PowerSchool. It is a commercial off-the-shelf products, and for those who are not familiar with that term, basically what we're looking to do is not do any customization to the product. We went out for an RFP, which was pretty extensive. We received the responses back, and the vendor provided us with the response, which allowed a lot of what we're doing right now to be integrated into their system. The vendor is an experienced and proven in the educational market, which was one of the requirements that we were looking for as we were moving forward with this big initiative. And the evaluation of the current state. Right now, we are in an assessment. So in assessing the current environment, assessing the databases, the data level detail. So being a lot more specific in terms of understanding some of the requirements that are currently occurring in our environment is what the vendor is looking at. And what that means is basically over the last about 3 to 4 weeks, we've been heavily engaged with the vendor and our teams and our resources, our subject matter experts in the data, collecting that information while the vendor's collecting the information to create an assessment of what the current state is. And that includes also what that would look like as we move this project or the data into the cloud. And so there's going to be deliverables that are going to be part of this assessment, which is going to be provided to the OPI for our review and for our validation in terms to move over to what that new architect is. And like I said, in the future state, so we want to simplify the data collection process. Right now, like I said, there is a lot of road bumps. There's a lot of impediments and manual processes, and so we want to automate as much of that as we can through these applications. And then one of the big areas of automating the information is also the analytics. So having a more robust analytical tool that allows the schools and the OPI not only to collect the data but understand what's occurring with the data, and so have the data tell the story for us rather than us manually going into different sources, bringing that information and try to tell that story. And so these are technology innovations that I talked about. The next point is the ability to facilitate secure data sharing. One of the main components of this project is security. And so security with any of the new modernization projects underway is pretty much on the forefront. And so this is one application, or this is one vendor which has proven to have very sound, secure data sharing processes. I talked about this before, which is the dynamic data visualization, and this is for the community. So the ability for the application to provide the tools so that we can look and see what's currently occurring, being able to have snapshots of data and analytics behind those snapshots, excuse me, that allow the team, the district's OPI, excuse me, I apologize. To have the ability to make those decisions based on the analytics and the level of analytics required in our technology environments. Next slide, please. And this slide really talks about, these assessment workshops. And like I said, over the last 2 to 3 weeks, it's been pretty intense in terms of our time and our engagement with the vendor. And so, the joint team workshops really is what's the application purpose? What's the functions? What's the current architect that's occurring right now? A lot of the database type of technical questions are being uncovered as well. And then obviously, what are the risks? What are the current risks that we're facing, not only from a processing standpoint, but also from a technical standpoint? And within the circle is really the snapshot of, the vast amount of data sources that OPI is currently using right now to collect and validate and verify information. And so, one of the objectives really is to streamline that into more of a consumable data source in terms of getting the data and also managing the data moving forward. Next slide, please. There are 3 core features that the vendor product has, and as we move forward with the project, we'll be hearing a lot more about the application names. And the first one is the Unified Insights. And Unified Insights really is your data analytics tools, your ability for the application to provide the analytical information that's required really in this day and age to make those quick decisioning without getting into multiple data sources and trying to validate and figure out the information. Which actually brings me to my next point, which is the AI, or artificial intelligence. I know that's a big buzzword, not only in the IT field, but overall in all markets. And realistically, AI is one of the drivers behind this analytical tool in order to identify some of those markers that may not be as visible when doing manual type of processing or analytics. And so being able to come forth with the type of predictive analysis really in analytics in terms of the data for our users or end users to identify risk students. The next one is the community engagement. And so community engagement module really is the module that allows the data to be shown to the public, and how we represent the data, how the data is either pulled from our system, taken from our system, and really visualized. It's a visualization tool really for the public. And that's your first contact with the public when they're looking at this information. And so it is very mature very much forefront in terms of industry standards of the type of visualization application that this brings to the OPI and to the rest of the team. The next one, which we're going to be hearing about as we move forward in the project, is connected intelligence. And now connected intelligence is really where all the data is going to be housed. We are using something called a data lake technology. Without getting into too much of the technical definitions behind it, really what it is allows the data to be centralized so that we can put governance behind not only sharing data, but also behind the validation, the verification, and integration of the data itself. And so this is the three areas right now within the application that are going to be core to the data modernization effort. And like I talked about, in point number 4, the benefits, I really went through each of them right now, so we can probably move on to the next slide. This slide talks about, how are we compliant with the House bills, specifically 367 and 949. And so there's several areas that we're looking at that have traceability back to these to this bill. One of them is the comprehensive data integration. How are we using this application? And so based on the requirements and based on the application itself, these are some of the areas which these bills are being met. One of them is the next one is holistic student insights. So basically gaining a comprehensive insight into individual student performance, their needs. And then the next one, individual academic enhancement. This is the one where we're looking at the analytical tool really to identify some of those at-risk students. And so this application meets this requirements within those bills. The next two I talked about previously in the other slides, which really is within security and data sharing. And so both of these bills that have the security and data sharing requirements are being met through our data modernization effort. And so this also includes the encryption that's required from the security standpoints, the security audits, safeguarding sensitive student information, and ensuring really that we're in compliant with these data standards. And then the data sharing is not just using within OPI, but how are we using this? Outside of OPI, what security measures do we have in place for these data sharing initiatives through House Bill 367 and 949? Next slide, please. So this is the project timeline, and I don't know, Chris, did you want to talk about this, or did you want me to go through it?
No, I can run through it. So
Okay.
This summer, well, actually spring in April, we started the RFP. Actually, before that, we started the RFP process, released the request for proposal because it was a large scale and dollar cost project. We had to do that by state statute. And the RFP closed in May. I won't bore you with all the details. We selected a vendor this summer in June and got the contract all squared away and everything, and then started work in July this summer. Well, hopefully you guys were getting a little rest and relaxation. We were working real hard to try to get this up and going. Recently, as Sam had mentioned earlier, we did the assessments, which is part of the overall project. The three main focuses on this project are the assessment, the data lake, getting the material, all the data ready to go for Unified Insights to get that information out and published and viewable by both the public and the schools. So currently, just this last week, we did and finished up the database assessment, and Amazon, in conjunction with PowerSchool, is working on those reports as we speak, and trying to get those ready for our review. And by the end of September, we should have some finalized roadmaps, direction, and some projected costs for the remaining part of the modernization project. So I know this is a whole boatload of information. Are there any questions that anybody has that we can answer?
This is Brian from Lima. Just want to wrap my head around this. So Infinite Campus is going away.
Negative. Our SISs, so the student informations systems that we have, are staying intact. So we have over half of the school districts in Montana have Infinite Campus as their primary student information system, or SIS as we call it. And that is and will not be changed. The SIS here at the OPI is also Infinite Campus. Then the schools that utilize another SIS, such as PowerSchool, I think there's a couple more out there as well. Those will remain in place. Part of this project to make things easier for the data transfer from the PowerSchools to the OPI, that data transfer, is the data lake technology. That data lake technology, since the PowerSchool districts have their information for the most part in the PowerSchool cloud, it's an easier transformation to get that information over to us and through that methodology, as opposed to the manual processes that are currently in place. So we are not, and when I first took this job, I'd love to see the expression on your face when I tell you this, Brian, but I was told, do not change the SISs throughout the school. Otherwise you might come to an early grave. So I took that to heart and realized everybody has their own choice. It's fine. It's the old Ford and Chevy debate. So everybody can handle the SISs that they're well familiar with, and we will take that data and figure out easier methods to get that to the OPI so we can do the things that we need to do with that information. Does that help, Brian?
Yep. I was just
Okay.
wondering if you were stepping on a landmine there. It doesn't sound like it. So, okay.
No,
you.
by all means, I am not going to do that. So.
Okay.
Hey,
You're very
Chris,
welcome.
maybe one comment, Chris, that you mentioned that those schools that are not Infinite Campus, that are PowerSchool and the others, or stay as they are, they can choose to go to IC if they want to. So if they're a PowerSchool now, they want Infinite Campus, that's up to them to do that.
That's exactly right. So it's really up to the district and the people that work with the SIS in order to figure out what works best in their environment. And we've had schools this summer that have changed over, and they're liking the things that they see. If you're interested in going one way or the other, we have contacts with both companies that we can point your direction. But like Andy said, it's really up to the school districts to choose their, I don't want to say their poison, but choose their method and application that they prefer. Any other questions? All right. So Brian, if you're hearing that there are rumors of OPI changing and forcing everybody to go one way or the other, please send them my way or tell them, nope, we're not doing that. I don't want to see an early grave from my standpoint, so we'll remain where they are.
Will do. Well, will you, at what point does this get rolled out to like the regional superintendent meetings?
We are, and we can, if are you talking about the mass meetings?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you know of anybody that would like to invite us, we'd be happy to jump in. I know the superintendent has put out information this summer through the campus, or I'm sorry, the Compass newsletter, but we'd be more than happy to do a presentation at any one of the mass meetings if we're invited to do so.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Then the last slide, we have basically our timeline. So out of the RFP, we had the assessment, which is milestones 1 through 3. Really, milestone 1 was all the meetings and workshops that we had to go through to gather the information for Amazon and PowerSchool. And then milestone 2 is basically to run through all that information, make sure that everything is as accurate as it can be. And then 3 will be the delivery, which we're expecting the end of September. And then, as you can see, we have deployment. We'll get to that as far as the next steps from where we're at as of today. Milestone 5, which is next summer, is when we will expect to have everything rolled out and in production and functioning. And then the project, because this is funded by the ESSER funds, will be wrapped up in February of 25. Actually, it'll be November of 24 when we're expecting the project to be finished, but we'll have all the sign off and review and documentation closeouts in February of that 2025 year. So any questions on that? Yes, Representative.
Well, I just want to congratulate you and the team that have worked on this. From what I've heard today, this is exactly what the legislature had in mind when the 2 House bills were progressed along and signed into statute. And so I want to offer my congratulations and thank you for all the hard work for each of you that have invested a ton of hours in this.
Representative, I'll say thank you very much from all of us. But I'll put a caveat on that. I would rather have you thank us and buy us a beer when the project's done.
That's the deal.
Okay.
You just
Any
name
other
the time.
questions?
Yep, name
Sorry.
the time and place, and I'll be there with the checkbook.
Oh, we might have to take a road trip to come and visit.
All right, great.
Make sure everything's in place where you're at.
Okay.
Okay. So with that, we have the next steps, and I should not have stopped sharing my screen here. What I want to do is I'll take you to the actual OPI page. If you go to our homepage, the opi.mt.gov, if you notice on the bottom right corner, there's the Data Modernization and K-12 Data Task Force. We had to abbreviate it so it looked a little better. That will take us to this page right here. And if you notice, we have the current legislative report, which just came out yesterday. You folks will be one of the first ones to see that across the state, along with the 4 legislative committees that and budget committees that was sent to yesterday. So the top part is going to be everything related to the modernization. And then down here, we'll have current information as well for the data task force. So we'll put all the meeting information and the agendas and everything right here, so it's easy to find for everyone. And what I'll do is we'll bring up that legislative report, and we'll get down to the bottom, which is really for you folks, probably the most exciting part of what's coming up next. So in the next efforts, what we have is, like we stated before, the assessment documentation review and finalization that's coming up in September. And then the data lake setup. And if you're not familiar with the data lake, think about it as basically a cloud-based technology that houses the data in a secure and a safe manner where we can share that out to those that have both authorization and are in need of the data that's in that cloud area, if you will. Along with that is also making sure that it's secure, the connections are correct and working properly, and we have all those security tools and everything in place. That goes along with that next part with the data integrity, making sure that the data is good, and again, secure. We're going to stress security. It's very important and at the top of our priority list. The connected intelligence aspect is what resides on top of that data lake, and that's where the data actually works in conjunction with itself, so we can actually get to the data and move those things around to where we can actually have the unified insights set up, which is the last thing that's coming. That will actually be able to display and show the data, and there are analytical tools that go along with that.
Chris, do you mind if I jump in and just say Adam had his hand up and might have a question?
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. I missed that. Go ahead, Adam.
Sure. Yeah, I was just wondering in the data lake if there were any plans to create or curate a de-identified or partially aggregated data set that the schools could do some analysis of statewide data on their own.
Yes, absolutely. That's one of the main reasons for the Unified Insights. If you're familiar with that product, there's one school in the state that uses that, and that's Bozeman. What that allows us to do is set up those areas to where you as a specific school user, whether it be superintendent, principal, teacher, will be able to have specific access to the information that you're allowed and authorized to have viewing rights to. Does that answer your question?
It does. I mean, I guess I'm just wondering, is there a data set that's de-identified enough to be open to the public?
Oh yeah, from that standpoint, that is absolutely right on target. So that's where the security comes in. So the aggregate information, if you think about it, you're familiar with our GEM site.
I am, yeah.
Okay, think about it that way. It's going to be a better tool to help view and display the data along with some analytics, and it's really going to be the aggregated data that the public is allowed to view and see.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Great question, by the way. Keeping in mind, one of the other things that the superintendent would love to have, and Zam will be helping us lead this, is basically a focus group of school administrators and school technology staff that will be able to help us go down these roads so we can understand better the needs that you have, and therefore we can tailor those services to those specific areas. So, any other questions? Okay, well, that's all we have for today. If there are any further questions, please feel free to send them our way. Let me drop in the chat my contact info. So my contact info is in the chat. If you guys need that email address, grab it and then shoot me any questions you have. And we will have another meeting probably here within the next couple of months. I want to try to, these were actually going on dependent upon the years. Sometimes there was one a year, sometimes there were 2 or 3. I want to try to, especially through this project, have these a little bit more often so we can get some more interaction and more feedback from everyone on this task force. So the other part of that too is keep in mind we are the hosts. We're presenting information, and if you have thoughts, ideas, or topics that you would like to discuss, please by all means send them our way, and we'll bring some more out your direction as well. So with that, any other questions or thoughts? We're good. Representative, did we do all right?
You did great. Thank you very much. This is very informative.
Super. We appreciate that. All right, with that, 35 minutes, not too bad. Thanks everybody for your day. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.